Imagine winning the presidency of the United States by a landslide and still believing the entire world is out to get you. Imagine shaping global politics in ways that still define the 21st century, and then becoming the only American president forced to resign in disgrace. This is the paradox of Richard Nixon, a man of towering ambition, sharp intelligence, deep insecurity, and enormous consequence. Richard Milhouse Nixon was not born into power. He was born on January 9, 1913, in Yorba Linda, California, to a struggling Quaker family. His childhood was marked by hardship. Two of his brothers died young, the family business failed, and money was always tight. From an early age, Nixon learned discipline, self-reliance, and emotional restraint, traits reinforced by his Quaker upbringing, which emphasized modesty, silence, and inner struggle. Nixon was not charismatic in the traditional sense. He wasn't naturally charming, relaxed, or magnetic. What he was, however, was relentlessly driven. He studied hard, earned a scholarship to Duke University Law School, and graduated near the top of his class. Unlike many future politicians, Nixon did not glide into elite circles. He fought his way in, and he never forgot how hard that climb was. His political career began after World War II when he served as a naval officer in the Pacific. Returning home, he ran for Congress in 1946 and won. Nixon quickly gained national attention as a fierce anti-communist, most famously during the Alger Hiss case. He portrayed himself as a defender of American security against hidden enemies, a theme that would follow him for the rest of his life. To supporters, he was tough and vigilant. To critics, ruthless and opportunistic. In 1952, at just 39 years old, Nixon was chosen as Dwight D. Eisenhower's running mate. Almost immediately, his career nearly collapsed under accusations of financial impropriety. Nixon responded with what became known as the Checkers speech, a televised address in which he emotionally defended himself and mentioned a dog his family had received, Checkers, that he refused to give back. The speech worked. Public opinion shifted, and Nixon remained on the ticket. It was an early demonstration of his instinct for political survival. As vice president, Nixon gained extensive experience in foreign affairs, traveling widely and debating Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev in the famous 1959 kitchen debate. Yet despite 8 years in the White House, Nixon felt underappreciated and underestimated. That resentment deepened after he lost the 1960 presidential election to John F. Kennedy in an extremely close race, followed by a crushing defeat in the 1962 California governor's race. After that loss, Nixon told reporters, "You won't have Nixon to kick around anymore." It sounded like the end. It wasn't. Nixon spent the next several years rebuilding quietly. When the United States entered a period of social unrest, Vietnam War fatigue, and cultural upheaval in the late 1960s, Nixon positioned himself as the candidate of order, stability, and what he famously called the silent majority. In 1968, he won the presidency. As president, Nixon inherited a nation deeply divided. The Vietnam War dominated his early years in office. Publicly, he promised peace with honor. Privately, he expanded the war into Cambodia, a decision that sparked massive protests at home, including the tragic Kent State shootings in 1970. Nixon believed intense pressure was necessary to force North Vietnam into negotiations. His approach eventually led to the Paris Peace Accords in 1973, ending direct U.S. involvement in the war, though the conflict itself would continue after American withdrawal. But foreign policy was where Nixon truly reshaped history. In 1972, he did what no American president had done before. He traveled to communist China. The visit marked a dramatic thaw in relations and altered the global balance of power. By opening dialogue with Mao Zedong and Premier Zhou Enlai, Nixon exploited the split between China and the Soviet Union, strengthening the U.S. position in the Cold War. That same year, Nixon signed major arms control agreements with the Soviet Union, including the SALT I Treaty. These moves helped reduce nuclear tensions and introduced a period of détente. Ironically, the man known for fierce anti-communism became one of the most pragmatic Cold War strategists in history. Domestically, Nixon's record was more complex than his reputation suggests. He supported the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, signed the Clean Air Act, expanded food assistance programs, and proposed a form of universal basic income, though it ultimately failed in Congress. He was not a small government conservative in the modern sense. Nixon governed as a pragmatist, willing to use federal power when it suited his goals. And yet, beneath these achievements, something darker was growing. Nixon was deeply suspicious, convinced his political enemies were everywhere, in the media, the bureaucracy, even within his own administration. He recorded conversations obsessively, sought loyalty above all else, and authorized actions that blurred and crossed legal boundaries. That paranoia would culminate in Watergate. In June 1972, 5 men were arrested for breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C. At first, it seemed like a minor scandal, but investigations soon revealed links between the burglars and Nixon's re-election campaign. Worse, evidence emerged of a systematic effort to cover up the administration's involvement. The turning point came with the discovery of Nixon's secret White House taping system. As Congress investigations intensified, Nixon fought desperately to keep the tapes private, citing executive privilege. But when the Supreme Court ordered their release, the truth became undeniable. The tapes revealed a president who approved efforts to obstruct justice. It was not just the crime, it was the cover-up. Facing certain impeachment and removal, Richard Nixon resigned on August 8, 1974. The next day, he boarded a helicopter on the White House lawn and left office in silence, offering a final awkward wave to the nation. It was an unprecedented moment in American history. Nixon's vice president, Gerald Ford, soon issued a full pardon, sparing Nixon from prosecution. The decision was controversial, but intended to help the country move on. Nixon retreated from public life, writing books, advising foreign leaders, and slowly reshaping his image as an elder statesman on international affairs. He never admitted guilt in the way many expected, but he acknowledged mistakes and expressed regret for letting the country down. Richard Nixon died in 1994 at the age of 81. His funeral was attended by presidents, diplomats, and world leaders, a testament to the magnitude of his impact. Today, Nixon remains one of the most complicated figures in American history. He was brilliant, strategic, and capable of historic vision. He was also secretive, vindictive, and ultimately undone by his own fear of enemies, real and imagined. He proved that a man could reach the highest office in the world without being loved. And he proved that power, when mixed with insecurity, can corrode even the strongest achievements. Richard Nixon didn't just change politics, he changed how America thinks about trust, leadership, and the limits of power.